Yo, what is going on, Raidernation? It's your boy Raider back at it again with another episode of Nation News. Now, I know I have been gone for the past couple of days because your boy was out of town spending Mother's Day with my mother and also my wife and just having a good time, enjoying the vibes and whatnot. But your boy is finally back, and I know there's a couple of, news out there that I have to get to. So we're going to address those in this video today. I know there's been some updated numbers for some of the Raider players, free agents, and even some of the rookies that came into minicamp not too long ago. Not only that, the Raiders versus Cowboys game could possibly be on Thanksgiving Day. And on top of that, everybody just can't seem to stop talking about Aaron and the possibility of him coming over to the AFC West and probably not coming to the Raiders, but I'll give you guys my 2 cents on that. And last but not least, are the Raiders a playoff team? Well, I'll let you know after the intro.
And you tell them one thing, just win, baby.
Before I get started with this video, if you're a Raider fan and you love the Las Vegas Raiders and you with your boy Samoan Raider one time, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button just to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this one. And if you want to be an exclusive member and help support this channel, then hit that join button down below. Without further ado, let's get started with the video. First things first, as you guys know, the NFL passed the rule of, changing to single-digit numbers. Running backs could have single-digit numbers, defenders, all of the above. So there's going to be a plethora of changes out there in the NFL. A lot of people are going to want to get their college number, those single-digit numbers. And the Raiders had a couple of changes. Well, one big change, I could say. I wouldn't say it's like a big number change, but it's one guy that we all wanted to have his number changed ever since Arden Key left the building, and that guy being Clelin Ferrell. Coming over to the Raiders, being drafted 4th overall in 2019. Number 99 was his number in Clemson, and it was already taken to by a guy named Arden Key that really didn't do shit for us on the defensive side, and he had to go and pick 96. Now, I'm not saying it was an ugly number, but it just didn't seem right for Clelin Ferrell. And in a year like this year, where we all believe that Clelin Ferrell could break out, he's switching over to his college number 99, now that it's vacant because Arden Key has left the building. Clelin Ferrell will be wearing number 99 in 2021. Now, some other notable free agent numbers have came out as well. Kenyan Drake will be wearing number 23. Yannick Ngakoue will be number 91. That means Vickers will be number 93 now. Yannick said in his press conference that he was going to be 91 by any means. And I don't know how much he paid him off, but he got his number. Quentin Jefferson will be number 97. Solomon Thomas will be number 92. Nick Martin will be number 66. Carl, the Hitman Joseph, his number is already taken right now. I thought he was going to take a single-digit number, but he's going to go with number 43. Rasul Douglas is number 29. Willie Snead will be number 17. And John Brown will be number 15. So the rookies haven't gotten their numbers yet, but when they do, I will keep you guys updated. I will put the link to all of the numbers down in the comments below if you guys want to go and check it out and see who got what. And those other players that got certain numbers that I really don't care about because I don't even know if they're going to be on the roster anymore. Now, moving over to the Raiders versus Cowboys game. Now, there was a report going around that there seems to be a growing sense that the Raiders versus Cowboys game will be on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, sheesh. It would be pretty dope if the Raiders and Cowboys game could be on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, it would be a big spectacle. You got quote-unquote America's team versus the nation's team going mano-a-mano on one of the biggest days in American history, where you'll see Dak Prescott face an MVP caliber quarterback in Derek Carr. But in all seriousness, the last time we did play was November 28th, 2013, where the Raiders lost to the Dallas Cowboys 31-24. The biggest play that stood out to me that game that I remember off the top of my head was Greg Jenkins getting that scoop and score. The first play of the game where we kicked it off to the Cowboys, they fumbled the ball, Greg Jenkins picked it up, scored the touchdown in a matter of seconds. And, I was like, the Raiders were on top most of the game. They ended up dropping the game at the end. But hopefully this season, luck can be on the Raiders side, because so far on Thanksgiving Day against the Cowboys, we are 0-2. So hopefully, if this is actually official, then I hope the Raiders can win this game. I know a lot of Raider fans were kind of pissed off at me in my record prediction that I had us losing to the Cowboys. I know a lot of you guys hate the Cowboys, but there's a strong possibility that we could possibly lose. But if we do win, then I'm gonna be happy. But the official schedule does not come out till tomorrow, Wednesday. So once it drops, then I will come out with another video giving you guys the inside scoop and giving you guys my thoughts on how I feel like the Raiders can finish in 2021. So Raider Nation, as of right now, would you guys want to see the Raiders versus Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, now let's talk about Aaron and his possibility of coming over to the AFC West. Now, we already know the story about Aaron Rodgers, and everybody and their mama's been talking about him. Raider fans been talking about him. Bronco fans been talking about him. But what do I think about Aaron Rodgers coming and possibly playing for the Broncos?
I don't give a fuck.
Now, let's move on to the next subject. Now, for the last part of this video, I want to ask you guys the question. Are the Raiders a playoff team in 2021? Now, I took this bit from Bleacher Report written by Maurice Moten. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to take that and put it in a video, and I want to go over the Raiders' whole offseason. Are the Raiders still a contender to be in the playoffs? I do believe that there's a strong possibility the Raiders could be and should be in the playoffs come 2021. I've stated this many, many times before in so many of my videos, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I do believe that this is a playoff or bust season for the Raiders. And last season, looking at last season, we were definitely a playoff team. Even with the horrible defense, we had a chance at making the playoffs. So I'm gonna go over every single step throughout the whole offseason and give you guys the reason why I believe that the Raiders should be in the playoffs in 2021. Now let's start at the beginning. The Raiders gained a lot of criticism throughout the media, after breaking up their pillars on the offensive line, trading away Trent Brown, Gabe Jackson, even Rodney Hudson. On top of that, going out and signing Kenyan Drake to a 2-year, $11 million contract when we already have a running back. Now getting back to the offensive line, it was a big shocker to me when Rodney Hudson did get traded away from this team. I was surprised when we released him at first, but then it wasn't really official because we were trying to look for a trade partner and we ended up trading him away to the Arizona Cardinals. I did not understand the move at the time, but understanding his age and the money that we were paying him, the Raiders wanted to go into a different direction. We already had a guy in Andre James that I believe this team believes that he is the future and that we can groom him into the next great center for this team. So with that being said, the Raiders did sign Andre James to an extension of a 3-year, $12.5 million contract. But hopefully it does pan out because Andre James has some big shoes to fill. Now getting over to Rich Incognito, he's only one of the 2 offensive linemen that is returning to this team. We released him just to bring him back on a cheaper deal. Now, I know that he's dealt with a lot of injuries. He had a foot injury last season, and he's missed a total of, 18 games while being a Raider. But when he's on the field, he's one of the most solid pieces on our offensive line, and I know that he's going to be a veteran presence to our younger offensive linemen, so hopefully he can stay healthy. But if anything was to happen to Rich Incognito, then we have a guy in John Simpson that I believe that could step in his absence. Now speaking of Gabe Jackson, the Raiders actually saved $5.5 million by swapping out Gabe Jackson for Denzel Good. Now Denzel Good stepped in last year and was a solid piece on our offensive line. While most of these offensive linemen were injured, getting a guy for $5 million cheaper that can do just as well as Gabe Jackson, I'm okay with this move. And he's a guy that's versatile enough that could play inside as a guard or play on the outside as a tackle. So I believe that Denzel Good is a solid replacement, or might I say a good replacement for Gabe Jackson. Now we move over to that right tackle position with Trent Brown. Now we already know that big baby Trent barely even played for the Raiders in 2020, so we're really not missing anything. Denzel Good, Sam Young, they all stepped in for him last season and did a solid job. They did an okay job, but the Raiders went out into this NFL draft and with the 17th overall pick, went out and got their guy in Alex Leatherwood, a guy that's, has that size, 6'6", 312 pounds, to replace a guy like Trent Brown. Now I know that he still has to learn a couple of things, but with Tom Cable as our offensive line coach, like I said before, I do have a lot of trust and do believe that Alex Leatherwood could be that day one starter on the right side and could be just as good, if not better, than Trent Brown. So many fans and people and analysts could look at this as a reach. I mean, I did at the time. Mike Mayock and John Gruden got their guy here and they didn't want to move back because they felt like they wouldn't be able to get him. And when you add him to this offensive line, man, it's already looking good on paper. Hopefully they can show it on the field in 2021. Now, as far as Kenyan Drake, a lot of people criticize this move because we already had a guy in Josh Jacobs, and we're bringing in a guy that we're paying $5 million a year to back up, or quote unquote back up, Josh Jacobs. Now, to put this all into perspective, no one criticized the Browns' run heavy attack that helped lead them to their first playoff berth since 2002 with Chubb and Hunt. I do believe that Kenyan Drake and Josh Jacobs will be a deadly duo on the offensive side, and I know a lot of people are looking at Kenyan Drake as a backup to Josh Jacobs, but Mike Mayock has said said this before, that he does not view Kenyan Drake as a backup running back. They look at him as that joker. He can play the wide receiver position, play it as a running back. He can play all over the offensive side, and he's going to have a lot of offensive snaps, and that's just another weapon for Derek Carr in this offense. Now, as far as diving deep into that offensive side, let's talk about Derek Carr. Derek Carr has been improving under John Gruden ever since he got there, every single season. And in 2020, he had his best season yet, throwing for 4,103 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, had a 101.4 passer rating. Now, the biggest negative to his game in 2020 wasn't even interceptions. It was fumbling the ball away. He had 11 fumbles, and I believe he was one of the top quarterbacks with the most fumbles in the NFL. So he's got to clean that up going into 2021. But on top of that, Carr has built chemistry with his #1 receiver and Darren Waller. In these past 2 seasons, they have a total of 197 passes completed, 2,341 yards, and 12 touchdowns. And I'm only getting started because I do believe that Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards will both show out in 2021 in their sophomore season. Both players missed a total of 7 games in 2020, but they both showed flashes last season of being a solid receiver in this offense. I'm not gonna lie, Henry Ruggs looked real good in that week 1 debut against the Carolina Panthers until he got injured. He had a huge performance against the Kansas City Chiefs in our first outing with 118 yards and a touchdown, also having the game-winning touchdown against the New York Jets, which I believe was one of the craziest endings I've ever seen as a Raider fan. Now, as for Bryan Edwards, I do view him as a wide receiver 1 in the future. This dude has all the talent, all the intangibles to be that #1 wide receiver. And Carr has played real well with big pass catchers in his time. You look back at Devontae Adams standing at 6'1", Michael Crabtree standing at 6'1", even Andre Holmes standing at 6'4", Jared Cook at 6'5", and obviously Darren Waller at 6'6". Now you have Bryan Edwards at 6'3". So I do believe that the Raiders, even with their struggles in the red zone in 2020, is going to do much better in 2021. And if Bryan Edwards can stay healthy, man, the sky's the limit for this Raiders offense. Even after losing our #1 wide receiver in Nelson Aguilar, this offense should be okay. Now, looking over to that defensive side, I believe the biggest acquisition for the Raiders this past offseason was getting Gus Bradley and getting rid of Paul Guenther. As the Chargers defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2020, his defense has ranked 14th or better. So that's good news for the Raiders. Like I stated before, if this Raiders defense could be top 20 and this offense be top 10, man, we definitely gonna be a playoff team. But I'm not done yet, because the first order of business for Gus Bradley since being a Raider was getting better up front, and we did just that in free agency. And the first name being Yannick Ngakoue, bringing in the sack master over to Las Vegas, then adding more depth by getting Solomon Thomas, Quentin Jefferson, bringing back Jonathan Hankins and David Irving. And we also addressed our awful secondary. First, by getting Ron Miles, one of the better DB coaches in the NFL. And also going into the NFL draft, drafting Trayvon Merrick in the 2nd round, Tyree Gillespie, and Nate Hobbs. We also do have a plethora of young secondary weapons on this defensive side that just needs to be groomed. So much potential there. You got Trayvon Mullen, Jonathan Abram, you got Damon Arnett, Amik Robertson, Isaiah Johnson. The list goes on. But going into this season, I'm really confident in our defense now that we have a new defensive coordinator, a new DB coach, and just so much talent surrounded at every single position. The Raiders were 8-8 in 2020, and even with a bad and horrible defense, we could have easily been a playoff team. And I've stated this so many times before. There were 3 games that if our defense made one stop at the end of the game, we would have won those games, and we could have easily been sitting at 11-5. And on top of that, the Raiders were top 10 in scoring in 2020. We did real well against our AFC West rivals throughout the whole 2020, despite barely losing to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers, who I believe we could have easily beat those 2 teams if our defense came through. Now, the final verdict that Maurice put out was, before you dismiss the Raiders as a team headed in the wrong direction because of their offseason moves, take a deeper look at what they've done with changes on the defensive side of the ball and how Gruden runs his offense. It'll all make sense. This is a club that is still in the playoff hunt. Woo-wee! 5 Mayock legs, believe it, ladies, man. This is going to be a playoff team, and if this does not prove it to you guys, then I don't know what will. So, Raider Nation, do you believe that the Raiders will be a playoff team in 2021? Let me know down in the comments below. Alright, Raider Nation, that is all I have for you guys today on this episode of Nation News. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to smash that like button. Until the next video, this your boy Simone Raider, and your boy is, yeah!